Can you believe after over 8 years from the initial announcement and over 18 years since the last game being Prime 3 in the series, we are now about to experience Prime 4 in just 3 days. It's absolutely insane, and to get prepared for it, for the last couple of years I've been slowly going through the main trilogy of 1, 2, and 3. For those wondering, I've also before played Metroid Prime Hunters in the past multiple times, and also Federation Force when it released, but that was very long ago, so I don't have much information on those. But today I'm obviously focusing on the main trilogy, and Nintendo has come out and even stated that this brand new game in the Metroid Prime series is going to be a completely new story, so it's the primary reason I haven't done a story recap yet, because why do we need it? Now, I probably still might do a short one for people that are just curious to have some slight information on the story. There's some more in-depth ones out there, but I'll probably just make a super quick one just to get you guys informed on what happened in the other games if you want to see it. But today we're focused on what you need to know in order to play through Prime 4, because if you never played a Prime game, there's a lot of things that might catch you off guard. And of course, you're probably going to experience everything for yourself, and I recommend honestly just playing the game blindly your first time, but these tips could help you to whether you're trying to 100% the game, see every aspect the game has to offer, or just make sure you don't run into a roadblock as soon as you boot up the game. We are still on our hunt to 380,000 subscribers. We are just about 2,000 away, so you guys can make that happen today by just leaving a like and subscribing. Not literally today, but I mean, you guys could help today. That would get us closer to that ultimate goal of 400,000 subscribers. But thank you so much for tuning in. If you're excited about Metroid Prime 4, show me by leaving a like and subscribing. But let's jump into everything you need to know before jumping into Prime 4. First things first, any Metroid Prime fan is going to tell you this one right off the bat. You need to scan everything. Now, if it's your first playthrough, you don't necessarily have to do this, but I recommend if you're trying to see everything the game has to offer, get every collectible, and just get 100% completion, or really just learn about the lore of the game, it's going to be hidden in artifacts and enemies and objects around every single room. And I literally mean scan everything. Every time you enter a new room, throw up that visor and scan the room real quick. See if there's anything to scan. It will show you in a color-coded way what are the most important scans. Those will be in red, which will be in your logbook. But there'll also be blue scans, green scans, yellow scans for various different effects and things, but you're going to really look out for those red scans. You'll be truly amazed by how many things you can scan in this game, and it does offer a good amount of lore for those areas and for the certain part of the story that you're in, which I always believe is absolutely worth it. And if you're going for that full 100% completion, the enemies and the bosses are going to be your main things to make sure you scan. There are some enemies that will only spawn one time in your playthrough in a specific area. Make sure you scan every single enemy when you enter a new area. There'll even be some that look like enemies you've already scanned, but they might be slightly different versions. For instance, in Prime 2 and Prime 3, there's lots of different types of space pirates that you gotta make sure that you scan, or you'll absolutely miss some of them that won't ever respawn. There's literally an icicle in the first game where you get a couple of them to shoot down, and if you don't scan it before shooting it down, then you won't get that log. So yes, scan everything before touching anything. Now, hopefully in Prime 4 this gets a lot better and there's workarounds, especially with bosses, because if you defeat a boss without scanning it, guess what? That means you also missed that scan. This is very similar to Wind Waker and the Picto Box if you ever played, where if you defeat a boss or a certain enemy and you didn't get a picture of it, then it doesn't count toward your Picto Box. Scanning is also good if you just don't know what to do. If you're up against a specific boss battle and you're just stuck, or maybe a room that you can't get out of, scan everything. Scan the boss, and a lot of the time the description of the boss will tell you exactly what you need to do, but in a non-hand-holdy way, if that makes sense. It'll just tell you that there's certain weak points that you have to find, and you have to just do your own experimenting. A lot of the time those weak points are tied to an item that you just collected nearby before entering the boss room. So mess around with the room a lot, scan everything, scan the bosses, just scan. I can't press that hard enough. During your playthrough, you are most certainly going to come across areas that has a, item pickup or some type of color door that you can't enter or a ledge that you can't access. Remember these areas. Unfortunately, in the Metroid Prime trilogy, there is no way to actually mark your map. I really hope that there's some type of way to do that in Prime 4. I don't know if some people would like that or not, but personally, I definitely would love it, because there's a lot of times you need to backtrack to those specific areas. That one color door that you remember seeing on that one world. You need to remember these areas, because there's times where when you get a new power-up, you're forced to go back and backtrack to a past area and find that door or that ledge that you previously couldn't access. And that's the hardest part, is just remembering where you saw those things. And also pay attention to what those areas look like. If it's a colored door, pay attention to what color it is, and when you get that colored beam that corresponds to it, because we do know that beams are returning in Metroid Prime 4, then make sure you go back to that door with that new beam. Or if you see a giant half pipe, you'll know that when you get that specific ability that correlates to that half pipe, I'm not going to spoil it because that probably will happen in Prime 4, then just make sure you remember, hey, that one half pipe is in that one area, I know exactly where this is. Having a good memory is key to being constantly on the move in this game. Now we are just on the topic kind of backtracking, and I want to dig a little bit deeper and just say, feel free to backtrack more often. You don't have to do it at the end of every single area or every single time you get a new ability, but when you get some new abilities, feel free to go back in some areas that you remember, and you can get some power-ups and collectibles, including energy tanks, which will grant you more health for some more difficult enemy and boss encounters later on in the game. So take the game slow. You don't have to rush through the story as fast as possible. Take some time just to, spend a couple hours going back and backtracking through some past areas, familiarizing yourself with some of those areas and things that you need to get, and also just collecting more items and power-ups along your way to help your playthrough go through a lot smoother, give you more health and more ammo pickups. Also, there could be some extra enemy or mini boss encounters that you could find. I actually hope they do more of this in Prime 4 because this was mainly a thing for Primes 1 and 2, but going back to some past areas and unlocking a new area could access a new boss fight, or at least a mini boss fight of that matter. You are going to be using your map a lot, so it's best to get super familiar with it right away. There's times where I just try to learn it along the way, and I think just familiarizing yourself with all the controls of the map right away, just spending some time to do that off the gate will be really good for you. So that way you'll know how to zoom in, zoom out, spin the diorama, look everywhere around the map, because you're going to need it. Trust me, there's going to be areas of the map where you're trying to look for a secret way out or some type of secret entrance somewhere, or maybe find where the door is placed exactly on that map so you can reach it. So learning how to maneuver your map is key in this game. And if we do get a map that's anywhere similar to the Pirate Homeworld map from Prime 3 with lots of vertical sections, it can get very confusing. So knowing how to move this thing around and look at exactly where you are and find out where you need to go is key, because man, you can spend almost 3 hours of your playthrough just looking through maps. Also, pay attention to the colored boxes on the map. It shows you the colored doors that you need to go through, and sometimes it can show you an area that you haven't accessed yet. And also pay attention to if there's anything marked like a map room or some type of ammo room, or specifically maybe even finding an area in the game that allows you to track collectibles, because Prime 3 actually does this. If you enter a new area, specifically a bigger room with tons of different doorways, one of the best things to do is open all the doors that you can and check the next room briefly. Most of the times when you enter the first major big room of a new world, it will have a small save room accessed in one of the doors. So you'll want to make sure you save often. We know save rooms are returning in Prime 4, so you'll want to find these things and save whenever you can. So that way, if you get smoked by a giant enemy or a boss that you're underpowered by in the next room, you're not forced to go all the way back through an area that you've already completed. That way you can just respawn right back to that same room. Something that's just a quick little note to know when you're fighting, if you've never played a game like this, is when you are fighting and you're low on health and you see health pickups around the room, especially if they're unreachable, if they're too high up above you, if you charge your arm cannon, these pickups will come toward you, including the ammo pickups as well. So if you're like, how in the world do I grab that thing off the ceiling? I need health. Just charge your gun and it will come right to you. In all three games, if you're near a powerful item pickup or some type of ammo expansion or health expansion, you will hear a humming noise for every single item pickup that sounds the same. It'll sound something like this. If you hear that sound, just be on the lookout. That means there's a collectible nearby, and so this is a game that's probably best if you're playing headphones or just have the volume turned up all the way on your speaker. I'm sorry for your family or friends, it's just the only way to play this game. And it also puts you into the atmosphere, like you have to have the sound all the way up. We actually seen gameplay that shows we finally had the return of different types of beams, which actually wasn't really a thing since Prime 1. Prime 2 had the dark and the light beam, but it didn't offer that much variety the way the first game did. And it looks like we have those elemental beams back as well. So remember that these different beams have different effects depending on the enemy that you're shooting. If it's taking you a long time to defeat an enemy, maybe try out a different beam. It doesn't mean that the most powerful beam or the recent beam that you just picked up is going to be the best for every enemy. Some enemies are weak to a fire beam or to an ice beam, so keep that in mind. And some enemies calls for a combination of different things. For instance, for Metroids, pretty much in the entirety of the series, 2D and 3D, you'll want to freeze it and then hit it with a missile in order to completely destroy it. Now, this has so far only really been a thing with Prime 2, but some of the upgrades that you can find will be completely optional. That will do some type of crazy new move with your arm cannon, and these, like I said, are optional, so you can completely miss them. Now, I don't know if something like this is going to be returning in Prime 4, but just be on the lookout for any type of collectible, because you never know what you could find. This last thing I want to talk about is my least favorite thing in the entire trilogy, and it's the post-game backtrack collectathon. Every single game has a post-game collectathon where you need to go back before defeating the final boss and collect a certain number of things. It could be a number of keys or relics or even energy tanks. Who knows what it could be this time around, but you're probably going to need to do it again if the first 3 games are anything to go off of. And sometimes these can be very annoying to find. For instance, in Prime 2, not only do you have to find these things hidden in little secret areas, but also you have to find them in the dark world and also using a dark visor because they're invisible. Yeah, it's miserable. But sometimes they often give you little hints as to where to go look for these collectibles, so you're gonna still have to backtrack to all these past areas, which normally means doing so by foot, which can take a long time. But this goes back to the search everything, scan everything, look at everything, especially post-game. Now, there's a good chance you'll find a lot of these in-game collectibles during your normal playthrough, but there's also a high chance that you're still going to be missing like 5 or 6 at the very end, that you're going to have no choice but to go back and backtrack through all the past areas. And I recommend doing this anyways, especially if you're going for the 100% to collect all the last bit of power-ups, ammo expansion, energy tanks that you need to collect before the final boss. So doing this, you'll obviously see what areas that you missed with all your new gear now, and you'll probably find these missing artifacts or whatever they're going to be this time around a lot easier. Now, I think Metroid Prime 3 Corruption did this the best with its in-game collection of energy cells, because you found a majority of them during your playthrough, and they weren't in just the most crazy obscure areas ever. A lot of them made sense for where they were at and where they were located, so I didn't go on a random goose chase all the time, you know, pulling my hair out looking for these. So hopefully Prime 4 learned from that as well, and it's not anything too crazy that's really just making new players bang their head on the wall, because they will, trust me. For us veteran Metroid Prime fans, it won't be too bad, but for people just now jumping into the series, I can imagine this being very annoying for them. So hopefully they find a better way to do this, maybe some type of easier way to track them down towards post-game, but either way, look for everything, scan everything, and you won't have anywhere near as much issues finding any of those post-game collectibles. And those are all my tips I have for you newcomers into Metroid Prime 4. Now, if you guys have any other tips for any newcomers, post them down below. Like, let's just create a community of comments down below if I missed anything that you think is greatly going to help a newcomer with Metroid Prime 4, because there's definitely probably some stuff that I just completely forgot about. But let me know if you're excited for Prime 4 and if you're going to be picking it up, and also let me know if this is your first time or this is maybe your second game. Maybe you didn't play the other two because the first game was the only one that got a remaster, unfortunately. I wish the other two did as well. But yeah, just definitely let me know how you're going into this game, if you are even going to pick up the game or not. But thank you guys so much. We are just 3 days away. I hope you all have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya, guys.